You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Cosmos After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Cosmos After Show.
Be still my beating heart. May the fourth be with you.
What and is also with you?
Is that like a mariachi? May the fourth be with you?
Yes.
Hello, I'll be bringing your sides a little bit later with the side of guacamole. What's up, guys? It's JC.
Extra guac, please.
Yes. It is Cosmos, a Spacetime Odyssey, Episode 9, The Lost Worlds of Planet Earth. And of course, as Autumn most wonderfully put, may the fourth be with you.
And also
with you.
Thank you. Before we find out that we were a bunch of rats from New Jersey, let us introduce our wonderful hosts, starting with the lovely lady to my right.
Hello, everybody. I'm Autumn Chiklis, and may the fourth be with you.
Very well played.
Yes, and also with you.
And of course, our science guru. That's right, I'm putting pressure on you.
Wow, you're putting the pressure now, guru.
The Jedi of science.
Yes.
The force is strong with him, but I'll let you take over from here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey guys, Scott Moore here. Glad to be here too.
Yes, and in the booth we got the part-time model, Mr. Stephen Lemieux. What's going on, man?
No more model status, guys. I shaved the beard. Now I'm just a 16-year-old kid from the Bronx going to Jump Street.
We needed
That's
the facial
model
hair.
status.
We needed a Chewy. Oh, and for this episode, can you put it on the graphics? Can you name me Juan Solo, since you named me that when I walked in?
I can
Juan
definitely.
Solo.
Solo.
I'll do it in parentheses.
Oh, really quickly, have we been checking out the new announced cast of the newest Star Wars? And the original 3 are going to be back in it. And
Yes.
I'm so pumped.
Womp,
Sorry,
Yes.
just throwing that out there.
Oh, Stephen disagrees.
I'm sorry.
I was kidding.
Okay, you better be. Anyway,
She was
sorry.
like, those are button words.
And I gotta introduce, because we've been in Studio B. You guys moved last week. You guys moved without me. I hate y'all.
Yeah.
But I am so happy we're in Studio A because we get the chat roll. So we've got people on the chat boards right now, and people are like, what? It's an official Star Wars Happy Day? Holy Moses. Yes. Ryan Whitson, happy Star Wars Day, and happy Cinco de Mayo to you as well. And we will be using you guys. You guys are our voice because we're probably going to have some questions, stuff that we
Yes.
didn't capture in the episode. So
Right.
hopefully you guys will be a backup, our fourth host, because Dylan decided not to show up today. Took a fun day for the fourth. What's up,
Womp,
right.
womp.
We miss
Typical.
you, Dylan.
Yes.
Come on, be nice. We miss you, Dylan.
We do miss you, Dylan.
We hope to have you back next week, Dylan, of
That's right.
course.
I'm pouring one out for you, Dylan.
But, okay, we've now gone 19 minutes in the show, and we have yet to talk about Cosmos. What are our thoughts of tonight's episode overall?
There was a lot.
Yes.
There was a lot to cover. It was awesome, but I was scribbling notes
Me
down frantically.
too.
None of this is legible, but it was worth it because it was very interesting. I mean, we pretty much covered the history of the Earth.
Yes.
We did.
The cosmos of the Earth. And so mad I couldn't be with you guys last week because it was Sisters of the Sun. And once again, I was like, another Earth science episode. But you know what? Each time, I'm always surprised. I learned so much. Honestly, I think I could now raise my D in geology to maybe a D+.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it because, I mean, so many fascinating things. Basically, of course, we were a bunch of rats.
From New
From
Jersey.
Newark. From Newark.
Wow.
And that
Who knew?
And that life exists even at permanent midnight, which we'll get into a little bit later. But let's talk about, he started on the cosmic calendar. He started at 10 a.m. roughly on December 23rd. So this is about 350 million years ago, before dinos, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And insects were bigger than...
Actually,
Bigger
than
it was
ever.
before. It was actually before dinosaurs.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
Oh, I
when we
thought that's
began.
what you said. I thought you said
100,
pre-dinos.
100 million
Yes.
years before dinos.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Yeah, we needed like some super bug spray because they were millipedes the size of alligators.
Alligators.
Yes.
I know.
That's so
It's so
horrifying.
disgustingly like.
I could ride a millipede, and I am not happy
No,
about
no.
that.
The dragonfly is the size of eagles, and I'm just imagining.
That's kind of cool, though.
How big would cockroaches have been then?
Oh, don't go there. Just don't bring that up.
You know, when you see them in your house now, it would have a whole new meaning. Imagine them being the size of like your dog.
But then-
Spiders. Oh no, it's like Harry Potter.
But there was
Azkaban.
a word that was said there that I watched it again with Scott, and it was the word. Was it linguine?
Yeah, what was that word? I didn't catch that, and I didn't know what that was.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Was that-
lignant.
What is that?
What is that? 'Cause it's
okay.
been a while since I've been in school.
No, it's a no, it's not a fiber, but it's essentially what makes trees grow so
Yeah.
tall. But no, it's lignant is what it is. So it's essentially the secret ingredient, if you will, to making what was once little bushes grow very, very tall.
Give
and
them
it
the
is
ability to have the height.
And it's very difficult to digest for various bacteria. And
Okay.
Animals. So
I just didn't know how to spell it. That's what I was like.
It's
I've
lignant, yeah.
heard of it. I just was like, how do I spell it? What is it exactly? Because I'm thinking the moss, the lichen, and the.
oh yeah.
And that's where I was getting a little confused at. So that makes sense.
Henceforth, why the fungi couldn't? I guess what was it? They couldn't
eat
consume
it. They
the
couldn't
tree.
consume it or digest it. Yeah.
Okay, so it brings it all together, but then we quickly move on to the explanation of fossils, how they come to be. And I know, Scott, I think this is more of your wheelhouse. I forget, you have so many wheelhouses.
Well, no, the thing that I thought was amazing is, kind of when we're breaking down all this history, like, this was the time of the trees. This was their time in the sun, pun intended. But it really was, at that point in time, and they were the ones that kind of ruled the planet at that point, because they basically had unobstructed ability to grow tall and kind of were the ones that helped shape the way our climate ended up becoming in a way, because of the way they took in the carbon dioxide. There was way more oxygen back then. I mean, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, which is why obviously the bugs were able to grow as big as they did, because the amount of oxygen, I think they said, was double the amount that we have
Correct.
today.
Right. And Stephen, I want you involved as well, because this is a big party. That's right, because he's really into this too. So,
So he
definitely.
pretends not to be, isn't he?
Yeah, and we may have a glaucoma episode coming up soon because there's so much information to digest. My glaucoma dealer should be coming soon. So
Good.
Your doctor.
Yes.
Your eye doctor will be arriving soon.
But okay, we've been joking around quite a bit, but there did come the point of one of the darkest moments on the history of the planet.
Yeah.
Which were the Siberian eruptions that lasted hundreds of thousands of years that pretty much killed the whole history of our time. One of our
The Great Dying, as they
Right.
call
Correct.
it. And the most depressing title that has ever
is.
been in existence, The Great Dying.
Yeah.
And you notice that I think this episode more than any, or is it just because we're moving further along in the series, that it's connecting parts from earlier parts of this season, with episode 2, a lot of with the Hall of Extinction and whatnot.
And that's sort of what we talked about. We touched on a little bit last week, that we were kind of going back to some of our first couple episodes again with that as well. So yeah, they are kind of tying it all together, which I think is great.
And it was great because, we're like, oh my gosh, so the whole time it was foreshadowing, and he was like, this is coming up a little bit later. I thought within the same episode, not seven episodes
later.
Yeah. So basically, he explained it much better than we ever could.
Right.
So, but what are your the thoughts of? It scared the crap out of me. Like if I was with my 6-year-old, I don't have a 6-year-old, I don't think. But if I was with wouldn't this scare the bejesus out of me? And as a child, and formulate maybe as I grow up, maybe look for solutions so that we do not become one of these epochs as well.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
Oh no, all I was going to say is, yes, it's terrifying, and I mentioned this last week. It's incredibly humbling because you realize how insignificant, really, in the grand scheme of things, you are. But there are two there's this dichotomy going on where, on one hand, yes, it is terrifying, and you're going to want to create the solutions to certain things, and to a certain extent, we can, and to a certain extent, we can continue to progress, so that we can prevent some of these disasters from happening and wiping us clear off the face of the earth. But something that you have to take away from this, the other side of that coin, is that there are some things that are just simply out of our control, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So it's that interesting balance of, yes, move forward, see what you could do to prevent these things, and also remain humble and accept the fact that you really, at the end of the day, the Earth could explode. I mean, we live in a fault line, Los Angeles, and we live, especially recently, kind of live in constant fear of when's the big one going to happen. And there's
Correct.
nothing you can do about that except duck and cover, maybe.
Move to Arizona.
Oh,
invest
you can just get under your desk and just put your hands over your head. You'll be all right.
Right.
Same
yeah.
with a nuclear bomb.
Exactly. That's what you got that training for. I think there were two, like you were saying, there were a couple of things to take from that. One is, like you said, is that we are, we're kind of humbled. We're temporary as we're looking at the history of the Earth. And so in the big scheme of things, and he kind of did bring that up, is the fact that we're in such a short period of time in our own lifespans to be able to notice the big, broad picture. So, yeah, there's a lot that's out of our control, but a lot of it is so gradual over time that it wouldn't affect us or our children or our grandchildren or our great-great.
Correct.
We'll all be long gone before anything dramatic changes, except for, human-controlled climate change, which is something that we can work on, and there are things that we can do, which I think he brought up as we got towards the end of the episode without jumping too far ahead. Yeah, so those things are things we can work on, but as far as the other things, like you're saying, out of our control, and for the most part is so gradual over the big picture, it's not going to affect us.
So you're not
personally.
saying we're not facing something as catastrophic as the Great Dying?
Right. Not in our lifetime, at least,
No.
unless we continue to do really stupid
But
things.
at the same time, and to that point, you're right. As far as we are concerned, and as far as we know,
Right.
there's no immediate threat except unless you live in Los Angeles,
Right.
and like that,
Right.
that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Our understanding of the universe ultimately is so
Mm-hmm.
minuscule that at some point something could explode and we could all
Exactly.
be gone. So you don't really
And
know.
the Earth's, core, like we
Just goes
touch
pow.
into, you never know, those type of things. But
Yeah.
generally, we don't have to worry about, except for the small things like natural disasters, like the earthquakes, the hurricanes, those type of things that are again out of our control
Kardashians.
anyways. And the Kardashians, they're all out of our
And the
control
Kardashians.
anyways.
It's a running
Kardashians are
joke.
totally out of our
They
control.
are. They're out of our control. So
All right.
why worry about it?
So we're a bunch of nerf herders. Thought I'd tie that one. A little Star
That's
Wars.
our
reference.
word.
Sorry, Steven. Sorry, Chewbacca. Okay, so, you know what I forgot to say? You guys are watching us live on AfterBuzzTV.com, I hope.
Yeah.
But if you're not, go to iTunes, go to YouTube, go to Stitcher. Let us know what you think. Send us your comments. We run about 80 shows a week, and one of those is Chasing Maria Menounos, which, of course, is based on our founder, Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro, and it really, really takes a beautiful look at the family dynamic, what's behind, we see the glitz and glamour, but we really see the most important thing of all is the Greek family, the hijinks. And Joe, I see Autumn clutching her chest.
Oh, like I come from a Greek family, so that touches a little soft spot in me personally. But
Yeah, so it's really important to us, guys. So we really appreciate it if send us your comments, let us know what you think about the series. It really means the world to us. So, and where can we see it? I believe it is on Oxygen. Steven, at what time on Oxygen? What
You can
night?
see it on Oxygen at Tuesdays at 10 p.m.
Or 7 p.m. if you are on the or West Coast, you can get the East Coast feed, like I do. I watched it early.
You fancy?
And yes,
huh?
you can also go on the Beamly app, and I moderate that room, so we can all interact there.
Are you doing the Beamly?
Yeah, I'm doing the moderating the room for the show, so you can definitely come in, you can interact with me, and make sure you watch every week. It's a lot of fun.
Talk to Scott about Chasing Maria Menounos
Yeah.
on the Beamly app at Oxygen.com while you
Right.
watch the show at 10 p.m. Tuesdays on Oxygen.
Steven,
There we go, Steven. It's
He's
a lot
like
of fun.
the next announcer for The Price
He
is
is.
Right. I'm telling you. Come on down. All right. But we got a show to move on to because we
Yes.
That was great.
Pangea for 400.
Yes, let's talk about that. But when we're talking about the Great Dying, here's. Are we?
I'm sorry, we're done.
Are we done? Okay.
No,
cool.
we can never be done. That's too great.
9 out of 10 of all the
Mm-hmm.
species on Earth died.
Yeah.
To talk
Yeah.
about how catastrophic that was. But on the bright side, this is what I was getting to. We are the descendants of the survivors.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we are the winners in this contest so far.
So
Obviously.
far.
So
So
far.
we kill ourselves
don't,
off.
Don't wanna jump the boat.
Right.
Don't wanna jump the gun. But as of right now, we are killing it. Or I guess not killing it. I guess we're living it.
No,
Living
and,
it.
well, for those species to die, something must rise. And I think that's the overall theme we got all episode long. And that little rodent, I don't know if you guys saw this, if you've seen this, Autumn, especially you, or even Steven, Ricky Tikki Tavi. That's what that little rodent looked like. If anyone knows what that is, I don't think anyone does, let us know. It's a little clue.
Okay.
Clue for what? No.
that little rodent that Dr. Tyson showed
Rodent
us
from Newark, New Jersey.
looked exactly like this mongoose from this cartoon from like the late 80s called Ricky Tikki.
Yeah, I know it actually.
I know
do.
of it.
All right.
I thought there was a quiz or like there was a trivia question you're going to ask people.
I could
answer for next week.
I could do a quiz. I can do a quiz to our AfterBuzzers, and they're that astute that they will have the answer. There is
They will.
They'll know it more than we will.
there is a
probably.
Leia at AfterBuzz tonight on one of our shows. Let us know who it is. Okay.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Let us move on to, I guess now they moved on to the beautiful Guadalupe Mountains of New Mexico and Texas, and I was surprised, that there was this beautiful reef, and I wish this would have been the New Mexico. I would have known this was the New Mexico episode, because actually I'm from New Mexico, and actually I know a lot of people that worked behind the scenes on this show, and I'm like, oh, this
Cool.
is yes, this is the one I needed to call them in. Hopefully we can get them in maybe next week to just give us a quick 5-minute chat to let us know just what it was like actually being next to Neil.
I
you
was
said
next
being
to
next
Neil.
to the
I
reef.
was next to Neil last year, actually. I shook hands with him. It was marvelous. It was a wonderful time. Yes.
She's sitting next to me
I
next
know,
week.
you
So
held
you
that
can
back
breathe
this
the
whole
air that-
time.
No, I thought I mentioned it. I thought I mentioned
I
it
don't think you
earlier.
did.
He gave a speech at USC, and it was absolutely
that's right.
incredible.
She did say that.
He was wonderful.
All right, so, the thoughts of, I know we thought of the movement of the continents, and we're going to move into Pangea, but
Yes.
these near misses, the speculation that we were all one giant supercontinent, which started with, was it Abraham, I'm going to butcher the name, Mortalitis, I believe. He was the gentleman who-
Ortelius? Or no,
I believe it was Mortalius.
Ortelius?
Mortalius,
Yes.
thank you.
Ortelius, yes.
Mortalius, Mortalius, potato, you're right. Okay.
Potato, it's potato.
It's potato.
Potato.
Yeah, no, but he already had his thinking. He had a hunch that the Americas all the continents were all one. But it wasn't until Alfred Wegener who actually put some science behind it. But how messed up was this story? He put the science behind it, but he never really knew. He was never validated by the scientific
Yeah.
community.
And that happens a lot though. That through the years, and that is a sad thing. It's like you put in all this work and effort, and then you die before you ever get the credit for it until later down the road. But it was pretty fascinating when we really stop and think about it, sort of like the people in the past that had looked up at the stars and figured out how all that stuff worked. It was great that he picked up the fact that they found fossils of similar species of extinct ferns on different continents and the same type, and it's just the detail again to kind of be able to pick up on that is really cool. I
And
think.
things that we now knowing this
take for
take
granted.
for granted. I thought it was really interesting the previous theory about the land bridges that connected
Yes.
them.
Right.
That was interesting. And what I
Yeah.
think is so funny is that they thought that was more plausible
Yes.
than
Than one continent
shifting
shifting apart.
That was what was fascinating to me about that particular story, other than the fact that he just disappeared in the middle of the Arctic. And
Yeah.
Yes.
Just never heard from him again.
Yes,
Seen.
exactly. I'm like, oh, that was crazy.
That was so sad.
Crazy too, right?
No, but the fact that they believed that there were these land bridges that went from one continent to another, and that's how that would explain the fact that you had the fossils of the same species on these two different continents, and that they disintegrated. And this came from folklore, apparently, the
Yeah.
original stories, and they took it as fact once again. So that was very interesting.
And it wasn't until, of course, was it Marie Tharp?
Tharp.
Yes, which was voiced by Amanda Seyfried.
Really, was
Why
it?
do I always miss who all the voices are every
And they're so cool,
week?
too.
They're always such great people, and I never pick up on it.
Yeah, I was
I think I'm just so nerding out to what's going on, and then I'm writing these notes that I miss all the voices. Oh man.
we're trying to pick up all the little things that happen. We're just
Yeah.
our hands are cramping because we're
Yeah.
trying to get all the info down. Because we do go on, but Scott goes on 10 minutes
Yeah.
after he sees it. So, and he's the one with the most info. Well, no, Autumn too. I don't know about that Dylan kid. Okay, so anything that we got out of this point, of course, women in science again.
Right, again, I was just gonna say that's when but we're being trashed here. It was in the 50s and was totally even the way they I think kind of made their point there, but how he kind of threw the stuff down on her desk, was like, here, figure this out.
Yeah.
Like she was
Yeah.
like some assistant or something. It was just really awful to see that. And again, but luckily she was vindicated and was able to witness that she was correct in her theory
Yeah,
there.
she did not disappear and never to be heard from again. She actually was able to see the payoff of all of her discoveries, which was lovely to hear.
That's fantastic. See, Ron Burgundy, you were wrong. I'm sorry.
No, I love Anchorman.
Yes,
Don't worry,
don't we
I
all?
love Anchorman.
All right, before you guys fire me, let's move on to the Spaceship of the Imagination, because they take us on this big trip down.
Well, this is the good segue here, is because we were talking about Marie and how she had mapped out the fault lines and the mountain ranges, and basically they did a nice clear map of the entire planet there, which now takes us to the next level of the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever I need to go down the ocean, I like to take my American Express card. I don't know about you, Steven.
My name is Yvonne Saravia, and I am a home health aide. My credit score was very high. It was like 700 something. Then I had like a hiccup in my finances. Everything just crashed. But I don't crawl under a rock and cry. It takes baby steps to get back. So that's what I am doing.
With American Express Serve, you have a full-service prepaid account that helps you handle your money simply and affordably. There's no credit check. You can pay your bills online and reload cash for free at over 15,000 locations, all for $1 a month, and all backed by the 24/7 service of American Express. This is what membership is. This is what membership does.
Now there is no purchase fee when you get an American Express Serve card at CVS Pharmacy or Family Dollar. Offer ends June 28th. Terms and restrictions apply. Go to serve.com for more details.
So like I was asking before we went into the break, can we take our American Express card 1,000 feet underwater?
No, because it would break in half because of the pressure.
pressure.
Actually, that'd probably be the only thing to survive.
Yes,
If we were to go down there, the Amex would survive. We would
Yes.
not.
No, the Amex would be fine.
Yeah.
You
good for-
You'd never leave home without it.
No, and the beauty of this episode is what I learned about the depths of the ocean, about the fact that more people have been on the moon than to the depths of it. Was it the Atlantic mid-range?
To the Mariana Trench, which is in
Thank
the
you.
Pacific, the deepest one, which is about almost 3.5 miles deep from the top of the. I mean, it is pretty incredible when you think about that. And again, not to like bring up the ghoulish thing of like flight MH370, but the point of the fact is that even though we think about a huge plane basically disappearing, you forget about the size of the ocean. And that was the one thing that I remember we talked about a couple weeks ago on my podcast, is just like the sheer size of just the Indian Ocean, and like just how massive every single one of these oceans are. I mean, they're 2/3 of the entire planet. It's just mind-boggling how huge oceans are
And I mentioned this.
and how deep they are.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before. The fact that we know so much about the universe in general, and we've been able to go so far outside of our planet
Right.
at this point, and we still don't know everything that's on it.
Right.
And we won't. That's what's so incredible. And unfortunately, speaking of extinction, we never will be able to know the extent of what is down there, because species are going extinct every day. But
Right,
And
of
also
course.
what we're doing, again, to the oceans. I mean, when you think
Yeah.
about it, and that, again, was a sad thing when they talk about looking this out, like, oh, look at all the sea trash, like it's normal. That's from us putting in garbage and tons of garbage and stuff in there. So we have no idea what we're destroying down there, because we don't even know.
Well, Ryan Whitson actually, he says that James Cameron went down there. He did, because he had the documentary, right?
Yeah.
It was a few
yeah,
years
and
back.
South Park did an episode on it too. Can we get the
James
song
Cameron
on that?
doesn't do what James Cameron does for James Cameron.
There's
I'm
a
not gonna do the whole
song.
thing.
If you can find that
I can find the song for you, definitely.
Yeah, no, he has been
He
down
has
there.
been down there, but again, like you were saying, and it's sort of the same thing. We know more about the moon's surface and the Mars surface than we do about the bottom of the ocean floor in these places. It's crazy to think about that.
You know, in the vastest, and that there is, now explain to me, it's bioluminescence.
Yes.
How, oh,
Here we go.
James Cameron, the bravest pioneer. No budget too steep, no sea too deep. Who's that? It's him, James Cameron.
Systems are normal. You guys hearing the song okay up there?
Thank you. That was
if you're watching, that was a dance interlude with us,
Yes.
so
that was beautiful.
you guys gotta watch this. It's golden age of internet, I'm telling you.
Okay, so bioluminescence.
Yeah.
Yes. So
cool.
And not so, on top of that, it was seeing, like Scott and I, when we watched it, it was just seeing all the life, the type of, the way they just were lit up, was it jelly?
Jellyfish.
Those types of jellyfish. I'd never seen anything like that. I was in shock. To me, this is all new.
It's like their own neon signs down there.
See,
in the
I've seen
ocean.
Finding Nemo a number of times, so it wasn't that.
If you've seen Finding Nemo, you know.
You've seen it all. No, but
Ooh, okay.
okay, so sorry, but all joking aside, it is pretty remarkable when you see not only the fact that there is life down there, but it just kind of reminds you the variety of life that we have on this little planet of ours.
And once again, the chain of life.
Right.
You know, because I believe we started with was it chemosynthesis?
Yes, chemosynthesis was able to take the hydrogen sulfide down there out of the vents there from the deepest parts of the ocean that make life possible, right? Because you get those, like you're talking about the orders, the tiny bacteria can eat those or turn that into food, and then you get the smaller animals and the crustaceans to be able to eat them.
And then they end up at Red Lobster.
And then so on and so forth, yes. And so on and so forth, and then it ends up, yes, on your
Stephen, you missed a golden opportunity for the circle of life on that one. I'm just saying.
He's going to bring it up, and then we're going to have to wait again.
Nope.
I would love that. Why not?
Well,
that's the fun.
But then from there, how did we transition from there into, he went straight back into the core. We started talking about Earth's core and about, let's see, the iron shell, the mantle, and just the layers of what makes up the Earth. Pretty much. I was lost on there. I think I like blinked for a second because he just fires information and you're like,
there's a lot in this particular episode.
Yeah.
And then basically what he said is, you know, well, we know this, that the Earth is alive.
Right. And again, kind of what we were saying earlier is like how much of it is, and he even alludes to in the episode about, you know, doesn't what life is doing on its surface, and it's continually changing, and it's going to continue to change again from where it is right now. I mean, he had mentioned some of those deep mountain ranges may come to the surface again, sort of like the Hawaiian Islands. When you think about it, those were the tops of mountains, basically, that have now reached the surface because of volcano eruptions. So it's always changing. It's very organic in that sense. It's almost like its own living creature here that's moving, and it's pretty fascinating.
Well, he had my favorite segment in this entire episode was when he showed the Earth, and then he just sped it up really quickly. If you look at like how the movement of the Earth, and it was meant to do this, but it really kind of showed what a living organism the Earth is, because it's so steady for us, primarily, give or take an earthquake here, a tornado there. We view it as so stable that when you look at it over the course of, throughout not even pre-recorded history, you see exactly how much of a life it has, and it's absolutely fascinating and really incredible.
And how much little changes can make a huge difference, especially when we were talking about earlier with like the climate, from the way Africa's climate changed and the way the Mediterranean Sea was formed, that was a desert, and from a great flood it completely changed. And from, when South and North America were split and it was basically one ocean between the Atlantic and the Pacific, and you get that small isthmus of land there, and that changes the currents, it changes the weather. I mean, so many little things that end up, it's sort of like the butterfly effect. So many little things change so much.
Right, India. That's when India merged, I believe.
And India ends up merging with Asia, and it is amazing, just those small little things that end up adding huge changes, and therefore brought us into the forefront here.
Which brings us, and like you said, to I believe did we just blow past the dinosaurs?
We did.
We just blew past
it.
That was way in the back of the history. What was sort of what we were saying earlier, just how everything kind of went about with the history of the Earth.
Because I was thinking, because it was the Triassic extinction right around because we're talking about the rat in New Jersey. It's right around the same time. But then we move on to current day. We move on to the creation of the Mediterranean Sea, which happened in a blip.
Less than a year?
Yes. I mean, no, because what we're talking about, everything takes millions of years, and this happened in 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean,
on the sped up, it would have just happened within a second.
Right, just a big wave, and there's the water. I mean, that does bring up the thing about how climate change and just a little bit of changes here and there can really make long-term consequences.
You see, they're just hammering it the whole episode for the big payoff that it's coming up in a few minutes. They were setting us up the whole time. They're like, wow, these little changes do have these effects in the past.
I mean, that's when the ice receded and the levels of the water rose after that period of time. And again, it's a relatively short period of time when you're thinking about the whole span of things. Only we're talking 10, 15, 25,000 years ago, a lot of these things happened. Relatively recent.
And this is when we're talking about where we actually became upright and we were on 2 feet, correct? And the trees, everything shifted. And it's funny how the planet shifted in such a way, but I want to say then quick question: what's next?
That's no. What
For
is
our
next?
species, specifically.
Do we become cyber organisms? Is it
Do we?
with
Well,
tech?
there was that whole thing with Stephen Hawking who was saying that artificial intelligence is
Right.
going to pretty much be the end of us.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you're touching on that later. But I don't. He kind of touched on this when he was talking about climate change, and this is the big payoff, and climate change not naturally, but us inducing it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And the fact that we could be ultimately the beginning of our own destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And so there, not much will become of us. We will not live too much. I mean, we will specifically, but our species will not continue to grow and thrive, and we really won't be able to evolve that much if we continue on the rate that we're
And I
doing.
also think it's
There have been too many of those.
I know. I
this
think it's not
episode.
even climate change, but I also think like something else we don't even think about is our own overpopulation too.
Yeah.
Because not only are we having the climate change, but then how are we going to be able to have overpopulation? We have twice as many people here, 9-10 billion people. How are we going to be able to have a planet support that and have the amount of food? And I was reading a great article today in the LA Times. They're trying to create chickens that will be able to sustain to higher temperatures because of climate change and be able to thrive and be able to provide sustenance and food for more people.
Well, and the planet has a unique way of kind of shaking itself off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we could be a part of that.
We will be a part of
Yes,
that.
because there's only so much I think that the Earth can withstand of us before it's just too much.
Before it just decides to get rid of us.
And it doesn't even matter what I learned this because I was going to ask this question because I saw it twice, Scott. I'm sorry. I saw it with Autumn, then I saw it with you. And I missed the note. I thought
Cheated on me.
Sorry. No, that Jupiter's gravitational pull had quite an effect on us, but as well as, and my question was going to be, is Jupiter the only thing that affects us? But then when I saw it the second time, I noticed that Venus as well has an impact. So basically, every celestial body in our solar system, I imagine, has some sort of cause and effect with us. Has
Well,
some
with
sort
everything.
Of, yeah.
Right, exactly. There's the whole balance of the entire universe there. It's all playing on each other there.
Meta.
Yeah, it is.
I'm so awesome. This is, you guys are teaching. I'm getting my learn on.
Can you learn on?
No, I'm kidding. No, but I'm just trying to think anything that we might want to move through before. He mentioned he went to the Hall of Extinction, and Autumn and I brought up the fact that at minute 51, it was where he just laid the hammer down.
Yeah, he really laid
did.
it on thick.
Well,
with that.
I even mentioned it to you earlier, didn't I? I was like,
did.
right before I got there, I was like, when is he going to mention us with us making climate change? Because for a while, it kind of felt like it didn't even have that, like he wasn't going to bring that up. I'm like, this is odd.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people talk about whether or not the show has an agenda. That's kind of like a big question.
Yeah.
And I have trouble with this because when you're laying out facts, is it an agenda if you're just saying what is true? But with this specifically, he was definitely trying to make a point. Whether or not you agree, like in the past, whether or not saying certain things has to do with whatever agenda, this was definitely, and he wasn't even trying to hide it. He was going, hey, also, we're killing it literally.
Yeah, but
So-
is it an agenda or is it by the facts that have been laid before us?
Right.
This will happen.
Well, when I say agenda, I don't just mean like there's kind of a negative connotation, like it's this plot to deceive us. That is kind of what is associated with it, but not necessarily. Like the agenda is to inform everyone, hey, we are screwing up here, and if you don't believe me, look at all of the cool CGI effects that are also completely true facts as far as we're concerned.
I
so.
agree with exactly what you're saying because there was that agenda. Because before we got to minute 51, he could have just left it at basically the history and this is what happened. These are the different various climate changes we've gone through. But the fact that he brought it up definitely is clearly like, I got to bring a point across here.
Will it
Again,
wake
whether you agree
anyone
with it or
up?
not, whether it's fact or not.
Will it wake anyone up?
I think people that are open to it. But again, there's a lot of people that are not open to that. So.
I haven't had an opportunity to check into the ratings a little more. I know it's taken a bit of a dip, then it comes back. When it started off like gangbusters, and it's kind of dissipated, and it makes me sad. It does sadden me quite a bit because there's so much information. It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not, but just to have it on your radar.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot to be learned. I mean, every episode we kind of come in here and we're like, oh my god, look at all the stuff that we didn't know before. But you also have to remember with like DVR and all of these other different things that people just kind of watch it later.
They do, or they don't.
Or they don't.
Watch it, or they let it go. And there was also another show that kind of is in tandem with Cosmos that I've been watching on Showtime. It's Years of Living Dangerously, and it kind of touches on a lot of the same things with climate change and what we've done. And they focus on Indonesia. Last week they were focusing on Sandy and what happened in the northeast of the U.S. And it was fascinating because when you think about climate change, you're thinking just a foot of sea level rise and how much more it can affect. Yeah. Again, what we were saying earlier, just a small difference can add a huge, dramatic, large-term effect for people and the planet.
The I can't even say it. The mathematical beauty, the language of the cosmos, is just an inch means everything.
It does.
So,
it's mind-boggling.
And I was going to add to the, we said we could DVR it. Well, there's the DVDs coming out. I was reading an Andrian interview today, and it's going to have 20% more footage that we did not get to see in the series.
Oh, fantastic.
So that'll be great for us super fans. So.
Absolutely. And just to learn more and take the time to really let it process and sink in.
And Autumn, I know I didn't mean to cut you off. You wanted to, it seemed like you wanted to chime in.
No. The only other thing I was going to say about ratings is, and about agenda and all of that stuff, we all know when it comes to viewership, people don't like to feel preached at. And so the thing that becomes tricky, and especially with a show like this, when you are bringing up, for some reason, a lot of things that I guess are considered controversial, even though I don't know why or how they'd be considered controversial when they're just facts. But that's the way some people view them. It's interesting that he chose to lay it on so thick tonight, because it wasn't normally, if there is any agenda, it's kind of like sprinkled in here a little bit and kind of hidden. But tonight it was like, no, I'm going to break the fourth wall and tell you this is what's happening. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that he went that in your face about it.
So I can only imagine what we could expect in the next couple episodes, because it's there's 4 left.
4 left. I can't believe it. Yeah, down to the last 4.
And from what I read in that interview, actually, Andrian will be, I believe she directs the final episode, and she says they're letting it all hang out on that last one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, good. They might as well, right? They've got nothing to lose, really, at that point.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the viewership is the viewership,
right.
And if the people who are the super fans, the people who are going to, if they've stayed on for this long, they're going to continue if they decide to continue, and if they don't, then it's not going to be that affecting. So.
And after watching this episode, there will be no season 2, from the sounds of it with Dr. Tyson. He said we're all going to die anyway.
Yeah, we're going to die.
No, but
wow.
Nobody did say this. No, we could leave with a happy note. It's in the end, it's all basically a long relay race, and it's up to us what we do with that baton.
Yes.
Yep.
So, any final thoughts before we move on to news and gossip?
I think you summed it up perfectly.
Fantastic. So, Steven, get us the music. News and gossip.
TV news.
Never look better with Scott in 2 minutes or less.
Oh God, I gotta hurry here. Actually, two quick things. So I'll talk them quickly here. One of them was we lost the scientist this week that was at NASA, and it kind of reminded me because of the scientists we talked about today with Begner and Marie Tharp about not getting the type of support you needed. Luckily, he did. He was a NASA scientist. He was an innovator behind the lunar module. He died last week at the age of 95. But for a long time, NASA was like, no, you can't do this. Your ideas are stupid. We're not going to do that. But because he persisted, he went around the chain of command. He ended up making it work. He was successful. And basically what happened was you took the bigger rocket, the spaceship, up into space, and then you broke apart and took the little lunar module out to be able to land on the moon. So it was less fuel, it was easier to land, it was easier to take off again, and you basically reconnected to the mothership and then returned to Earth. So if it was not for him, there's a good chance they would have not made that moon landing on July 20th, 1969. So thankfully for him, sticking up for himself, continuing to make it happen when everyone was saying, no, it's not going to happen, it doesn't make sense. So again, it's awesome to see the scientists that stand up for themselves and keep fighting for it. So rest in peace, John Hobart. He was the NASA innovator behind the lunar module, died at 95. And then the other interesting news this week is that they're going to go in for a 3rd time here to Mars to drill into the soil, because they're still trying to find suitable soil to get that specific stuff to say, yes, there is life on the planet, or it was potentially able to have life on the planet years ago. So they targeted a rock known as Windjana, named for a gorge in Western Australia, which I think is great. And they're now going to be getting the sandstone that was about an inch deep and see what they can find. So they're still looking for friendly life in the past there on the planet Mars. So that's very exciting. And the folks over at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory right down the street from us in La Cañada are leading that. So it's pretty cool.
At 1:59, 2 minutes. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for the news, Scott. All right, so predictions. We don't really have predictions. Like Steven, will you do the predictions for us? What do you foresee in the cosmos?
The end of everything.
I know, what's the future for humankind?
You had a very bleak conversation at the end there.
That's how the episode.
Right.
When you watch it at home with your glaucoma medicine, I'm telling you, no,
it gets dark, but
It gets real.
It does get real fast. But the thing that is important to remember is that it's not just ending on a we're doomed. It's more of a inciting kind of like, we need to do something, guys, and if we do, then we'll be fine.
Right, it's still in our hands. We can still do it. We can make it happen. We can turn the ship around here and keep things going in a positive direction, keeping Earth in a good, friendly climate for us.
Just remember, we're all just star stuff.
Oh, he watches.
And
all
we're
right.
all going to die anyway, so.
I'm going to live forever. Okay, let's get out of here. Are we doing predictions? What did we really predict? What do we see next week?
Oh, wow. We're going all over the place in tonight's episode.
This
here.
is the Cosmos After Show.
This is the after show.
We just want to thank our fellow AfterBuzzers, Ryan Whitson, Watchtower Base, Anthony Allenberg, Joseph Boza. We can't do the show without you.
I salute you all.
Remember, we have 20 million weekly downloads on iTunes in over 100 different countries, but you, chat roll, you are at the core. You are the backbone of AfterBuzz.
You are our heroes.
To the stars and beyond. Was that Toy Story?
To infinity and
To
beyond.
infinity and beyond.
We salute you.
And Jurassic Park, it's all connected.
All right,
it's all connected
Steven,
'cause we're all star stuff.
get us out of here.
Well, you going to say where we can find you on Twitter?
Right.
Oh, well, Scott, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at sman80, sman80.
You can find me on Twitter at Chiklis, AUTUMNCHIKLIS.
And I can be found at JC Rubio TV and on Instagram and Twitter. So, for Scott, Autumn, the lovely Steven. Hey, Steven, where can they find you?
You can find me engineering your after show in about 7 parsecs.
Oh, the force is strong with him.
That we're gonna get out of here.
All right, folks,
Done.
that does it for another week of Cosmos. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.